taking over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Into the coup de grace, the final hour of love for the week on C2C. Good to have you with us on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You know that by now, right?
I know it. I mean, if you're asking, I know that. I mean, even the guys playing poker in the Adrian Peterson video know.
I mean, did you see that? We're on everywhere.
It's just everybody knows
Airports, prisons, hospitals. We're everywhere. All over the world.
Everywhere, indeed. Before I give you tonight's games, how about we usually give you power rankings for the teams, right? That's usually what we give you. But I even have for you this week power rankings, starting pitcher power rankings, I guess, from people who think that they know. Here it is.
They think they know.
Scooble, number 1. Skeens, number 2. Wheeler, 3. Hunter Brown, 4. Freed, 5. Valdez, Sale, Crochet, Webb, and DeGrom. I'll already say Sale and Crochet are probably, especially Sale. Didn't we just say Sale's got like the lowest ERA since May 1st or something like that? Like majors.
I'm gonna put Freed, Sale, Crochet, then Hunter Brown and Valdez, Webb, and DeGrom, and I'd be willing to put, frankly, DeGrom above Webb. Webb only to me pitches great at Oracle. He's not very intimidating to me away from there. For some reason, I don't know what it is. It's like Severino. He never pitches well at all anymore. And especially at home, he's terrible. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, there's a 3-run shot. Garver, his 3rd home run. 2nd today. Mitch Garver, a 3-run blast now. 9-4 Seattle at Wrigley. Time to head to Murphy's Bleachers to have an old style.
And it is now over. It was over already, but now really over in more ways than one. Up and away. 9.5, 10.5, whatever number you got. You're now over the line.
Boom. I mean,
in
boom.
the Cub-Mariner game.
That thing was 15 rows deep.
Yeah, nice shot by Garver, having a bust-out day. All right, let's get to tonight. Everybody else is in action this evening, other than the Cubs and the Mariners, clearly. The Pirates back at home. They got the Rangers in town this weekend. They'll get to see, why not? You know, they got to see Scooble yesterday. Let's go see Jacob deGrom tonight. Mike Burrows goes for the Buccos. Minus 175 for Texas, plus a $1.45 for the Pirates, and a 7.5.
Yeah, I just can't see it happening. It's deGrom here and the Rangers. Even though they just got swept by the Royals, I think that deGrom will beat the Pirates and Burrows.
Tigers are in Tampa against the Rays this weekend. Jack Flaherty against Shane Baz. Minus 115 for the Rays. How about that? Minus 105 for the Tigers and an 8.5.
I like Flaherty here tonight and the Tigers. The Rays lost last night. Their fans were booing them after they'd, crept within a couple games of the Yankees, giving them the business. They should give them the business back tonight and throw the game and let Flaherty beat them so they can boo some more. What a bunch of idiot fans they got down there. They haven't won like that since they were playing in World Series.
They have not. I don't understand what they were booing about last night. Maybe they're just booing Cowser. Maybe they weren't booing the team. They were mooing. Oh, they were Oriole fans mooing Cowser.
There's no way there were Oriole fans at Steinbrenner. Like they can't afford that trip.
But there's a chance that like some nights there's like always more of the other team in Tampa. Like that was the case at the Trop too, right? There's people there rooting for the other team. Speaking of the Orioles,
Rays should be allowed to pass the Yankees in the East because they're using their stadium. I think it should be, if they got to within a half game, they should freeze it right there no matter what the rest of the way.
That should be part of the deal, is that they're not allowed to pass them because they're using their stadium. Baltimore is in the real Yankee Stadium tonight in the Bronx. It'll be Sagano against Max Fried. Big lumber here. I mean, minus 310. Plus 250 for the Orioles and an 8.5.
Well, I just think Sagano has got his hands full tonight with Fried chicken. I'm on Fried and the Yankees, believe it or not, and there's no way I'm paying that price. I don't even like the run line price of minus almost $1.50 to lay a 1.5. The way they've been playing, I'll tell you what, I think the better buy, because Sagano's been pretty good. I think the better buy is the 1.5 with Baltimore at plus $1.24. I would take a shot with that before I'd pay that price to lay a 1.5 with a team that can't score runs anymore.
Can't score runs. Just can't score runs at all. That's for sure. The White Sox will be in Toronto against the Blue Jays. Grant Taylor for Chicago.
Who?
Spencer Turnbull. Wow, Spencer Turnbull back. For the Jays, runs tonight. Minus 205 for the Jays, plus 170 for the White Sox, and an 8.5.
Toronto run line. I love their lineup. They score runs. I think they're going to crush the White Sox all weekend.
Crush them all weekend long.
I went to that
I could
series
see
a couple
that.
years ago. You remember I went up there for that?
Yes.
I went to see the White Sox and Jays. So I think the
remember
Jays
that.
will punk them. Run line it.
Punk them tonight. The Braves will be in Miami, where Diddler Fuentes, making, that's right, Didier Fuentes making Major League debut for the Braves. And then the immortal Double J, Jansen Junk, going for the Marlins tonight. I mean, this is some scene here. Minus 150 for the Braves, plus 125 for Junk and the Marlins. 8.5 is the total.
Well, I think the Braves are starting to play really good baseball. I think they'll beat the Junk Man.
I mean, Jansen Junk. That is a name right there. I hope they keep him around. Battle for first.
You remember when
in the
Boogie
NL East?
Cousins grabbed his junk and rubbed his hand in the guy's? Cost
What
him
has
his
Boogie
deal.
got something going? I thought I saw something. Boogie's got something going on with Durant now too. Is he in some kind of fight with Durant over something?
I
Who
hope
knows?
so. I would love to see Boogie beat up Kevin Durant. I really would.
Mets and Phillies. Battle for first in the NL East. It'll be Zach Wheeler tonight against Blade Tidwell.
Blade Runner.
Give me, not Rod Tidwell. Blade, don't call me Rod Tidwell. Minus 190 for the Phillies, plus 160 for the Mets, and an 8.5.
I don't trust anyone named Rod. And and I'm gonna take
Blade.
Rod Blade. Is that his name?
Blade Tidwell. Rod Tidwell was the Cuba Gooding Jr. character, and Jerry Maguire was Rod Tidwell. So Blade, don't call me Rod Tidwell, going for the Mets tonight. Blade. Rod. Summer Friday.
Yeah. Give me the Phillies on a run line at plus $1.05 with Zach on the bottom.
We'll give you the rest. A lot more games, a lot of late night games tonight when we come back. We got more for you here on Coast to Coast. Blade.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, the rest of the baseball games that we're going to hit here, because I did make a couple of big bets in the West Coast tonight, and you're going to be hitting these games coming up here, so I'm excited.
Yeah, let's finish them off. First, Cincinnati's in St. Louis against the Cardinals. Brady Singer and Andre Palant. Minus 145 for the Redbirds, plus 120 for the Reds, and an 8.5.
The thing is, I got to tell you, I'm on the Cardinals at Busch. That's it. I think the Reds are pain in their neck, but they're playing this series at Busch, and it's going to be hot, and it's, that's an advantage. They play in that ballpark. It's sold out. It always is, and they're, obviously in first, they're tougher than the Reds, I think, in their ballpark. I'll take the Cardinals and Palant. Pallant's been pretty tough. Singer's been good for the Reds, no doubt about it. The Reds are tough. I won't deny it. I mean, they're right there with him, a game behind him in the win column.
The Brewers and the Twins at Target in Minneapolis this evening. Now tonight you get Jacob Mizorowski going for the Brew Crew. Joe Ryan, Patriot games, going for the Twins. Right now, minus 160 for Minnesota. Plus 135 for the Kid and the Brewers, and a 7.5.
I think the problem is that Joe Ryan's so good. He's their best pitcher. He's at home. He's 7-2. He's incredible. I think this kid is something else. He's really made a name for himself in short order. Made one start, no hits allowed, struck out a bunch of guys, threw in the hundreds. I still think he loses tonight at Target to Ryan. Ryan is a tough customer, especially in their ballpark.
He certainly is. Arizona is in Colorado this weekend. Zach Gallen and Austin Gomber tonight. Light the match now. Minus 165 for Arizona, plus $140 for the Rockies, and an 11.5.
I like the over, and I got to be honest with you, because Gallen and Milk has been, frankly, a disappointment this year, certainly for the Snakes. And the Rockies are hot. Believe it or not, it's true. They're hot. They won all those games. They won 4 in a row. No, they hadn't done that all year. And then they finally lost. I'm going to take a stab with him at Coors. Believe it or not, I've hit him a couple times. Plus $1.37. Give me the Rockies at home with the upset.
Houston stays on the West Coast. They're in Anaheim against the Angels. Hunter Brown and Kikuchi tonight. Minus 165 for the Astros, plus 140 for the Angels, and a 7.5.
Yeah, I like Houston on the run line here at plus $1.04. I like Brown over Kikuchi. Excuse me.
Royals in San Diego. Michael Lorenzen and Nick Pivetta, this evening's pitchers. Minus 155 for the Friars, plus 130 for the Royals, and a 7.5.
This is one of the games that I told you I bet on in the West Coast. I took Pivetta and the Friars on the run line, minus a 1.5 at plus 140 now. Pivetta has been amazing. Lorenzen has been ass mustard. Give me the Friars on the run line at Petco with a soft serve ice cream.
Cleveland gets their turn to hit in the great Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. Tanner Bybee against Jeffrey Springs. Minus 120 for Cleveland, even money for the A's, and a 9.5.
I'll take the Guardians at that price. At Sutter, home, Wines, whatever you call it in Sacktown. Give me the Guards.
The Nationals head west after finally snapping that losing streak yesterday, but they get to see the Dodgers. It will be Clayton Kershaw against Mackenzie Gore. Minus 200 for the Dodgers, plus 165 Nats, and an 8.5.
Dodgers run line. The Nats stink. Kershaw's looked good when he pitches. I tried to bet on Tipper Gore with all his strikeouts, but they don't help him. They don't score. The only guy on that team that hits is the Wood Doctor. Give me the Dodgers run line at the Ravine.
And finally, a game everyone's looking forward to tonight, and that is Rafael Devers against his old team already. Only a few days after the trade, Red Sox and Giants at Oracle. Hunter Dobbins and Hayden Birdsong, minus 130 Giants, plus 110 Red Sox, and a 7.5.
Well, this is the other game I bet on, and believe it or not, strike me dead. I took the Red Sox at plus 110 and Dobbins over Birdsong, your boy Otis Birdsong, because the reason I'm betting on him is that everyone and their brother thinks that the Giants are going to beat the crap out of the Red Sox this weekend because Devers is on the Giants now. And I don't think, he's going to have a bad weekend. I think he's going to have some hits. Obviously, he wants revenge. And I say the Red Sox want to beat the Giants because no one thinks they can. And they've actually been winning. They just won the series in Seattle, did they not? And they're actually playing better without him, which is, I think, not going to last. But I bet him plus 110 this morning. I took Boston over San Francisco tonight at Oracle in the city.
There you go. Big Friday night, big weekend of baseball. Let's finish it off with some long balls, though, because we do have a few. We love Friday night taters here on Coast to Coast. And we got a lot of weather this weekend. If you like homers, hot weather, balls should be flying in a lot of these places. I think Philly's going to be one of those places. I'm not scared of Zach Wheeler, especially when I got the polar bear. Plus 350 for Alonso tonight in Philly. He's got some off him in his career. Let's get another. Rooker tonight against Bybee for Cleveland at plus 360 out at Sacramento. Kerry Carpenter's been a little quiet. I think that changes in a ballpark where lots of balls fly out, and he's facing Boz tonight, plus 400 for Kerry Carpenter. Teoscar against Tipper Gore, plus 420. He's got some really good numbers off him in his career. I'm going back to the Cognac tonight. Mickey Moniak against Zach Gallen. He has been red hot. He's got great numbers, including a homer off a Gallen in his career. Plus 470 for Forget the Cognac, Get Me the Moniac. And Ellie De La Cruz, a Friday night staple. Plus 480 in St. Louis against Palant. Alonso, Rooker, Carpenter, Teoscar, Moniak, and Ellie on a Friday night.
Everyone loves Cognac more than milk. I like him to tee off 1 gallon of milk.
The Devers numbers are too low. I can't take Devers. The numbers...
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't. But, yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Why don't we hook up with my buddy Rich Sermonello?
Scott, I want to talk about the recently developed House settlement. You've probably seen a lot of news regarding it. Nothing to do with politics. It's not the House of Representatives. This has to do with Grant House, a former Arizona State All-American swimmer. This is a legal situation that's been going on for a while. The landmark decision came down recently, and the decision was that schools can now officially pay student athletes. Amateurism is dead. The divide between the haves and the have-nots have never been bigger. It will continue to get big. I want to discuss here who are the winners from this settlement, who are the losers, and what can we expect moving forward. First off, the big winners. Obviously, athletes from the revenue-generating sports. We're talking football, men's basketball, to a lesser extent, women's basketball. Now there's a pipeline up to $20.5 million. Universities can pay student athletes in aggregate. So that is all student athletes. It's a deal, Scott, that will run for the next 10 years with escalators. I believe it's 4% a year. So by the end of the 10 years, we could be talking about $30 million that could be laid out to student athletes. Again, this NIL has not gone away. In theory, I'll believe it when I see it. It's going to be more transparent. We'll see what happens with that. But now there is a steady revenue pipeline for the biggest producing athletes in college sports. Those are the biggest winners. And secondary to that, there's going to be a back pay. $2.8 million, $2.8 billion has to be paid to student athletes from 2016 to 2024. Hasn't been decided yet exactly how that's going to be paid out or distributed, but you have former athletes that'll be paid as well. Here's a sneaky big winner. If you're an alum like myself, I'm a graduate of Seton Hall, of a school that has a prominent basketball program but no football program, major winner. You now no longer have to distribute that money to football players. You could put that all into basketball. If you're Xavier, St. John's, Gonzaga, Major win for those basketball programs. Now, the losers from the House settlement, no big surprises here. If you're a G6 program, it's going to be tough to compete. They're really going to handle the disproportionate burden of that $2.8 billion back pay. And then non-revenue generating sports. A lot of these sports are going to have roster limits, have a difficult time surviving. If you're a swim team member, soccer, it's going to be difficult. So a lot to really deal with. We'll be covering it moving forward. The changes are going to be coming in the future.
My man, Rich, great stuff. Have a fantastic weekend, pal. All right, Carver High, I know you have other college football news.
I do. And this actually came out today. So since Rich brought up so much legal Eagle stuff, I might as well continue with it. Groundbreaking case that was filed today. The University of Wisconsin filed a lawsuit against the University of Miami for tampering and eventually poaching a college football player under contract. That, of course, was defensive back Xavier Lucas, who's now going to be playing for the Canes next fall. So we have seen, obviously, Scotty, guys switching schools, things like that. It's all about the U, I know, but I guess Wisconsin didn't like how it was handled, so they're suing the U for stealing him from them.
No one cares what Wisconsin thinks, and Miami should be entitled to take whoever they want from any team anywhere because they're all that matter at the end of the day. It's all about the Canes, baby.
It's all about the Canes. Maybe Miami thought it was okay. It was like a trade back because remember when Van Dyke went to Wisconsin, they must have thought that they were just getting like the player to be named later. They thought
that was the best thing that ever happened to Miami, that guy left.
That guy left and they got Cam Ward, right? That was the trade. Yeah. They brought Cam Ward in after they got rid of Tyler Van Dyke.
What a disaster.
It was awful. College football's around the corner, and the summer's here, which means you know what we're going to be doing soon. Get yourself ready. All those win, it's a loss. Look at the schedule. Who's going to win the conference? Who over, under wins? We're going to start rolling it all out.
At least they don't do preseason. They go right at it from day one.
Yeah, right in the mix. Pain day, right out of the gates. Let's go. Saturdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. There, Labor Day weekend. We get rolling with college football.
It should be every night of the week, college football.
Yeah, it should.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Adam Kaplan is our NFL insider. He's covered the league for almost 30 years. You can follow him on X at Adam Kaplan, Kaplan NFL, excuse me. And he's on Coast to Coast every week. We got him on today before the end of the week. Usually he's on Thursdays. We got him today because yesterday they had a horrific storm in Philadelphia where Adam lives, and his entire backyard had like trees coming down in, droves. And just a nightmare, catastrophe, mess, and costly disaster. The storms, the high winds, like tornadoes. It was crazy, huh?
Yeah, you got to be. Yeah, I mean, we took cover. It was pretty scary, man, to see it actually unfold. And yeah, thankfully our house is spare. We have power. At least for now, we do. So we're doing okay. So folks, always go in your basement. That's the safest place.
Yeah, I've been through it. I had the story. I'll never forget it. The Dallas Pike tornado in Atlanta in '93. It cut a 5-mile swath near Kennesaw in the woods, and my house that I lived in was destroyed. And I woke up in a mud field, and it was a massive tornado that destroyed everyone's homes. And 2 weeks later, I moved to San Francisco. That was the end of it. Those storms, tornadoes are scary. If you're ever in one, believe me, if you're in a Cat 4, Cat 5, they mean business. And you're right, you got to get cover downstairs, wherever. I was in bed when it happened, and it just lifted the house, gone. And I literally woke up in a field of mud. There was no more house. All right, let's do it. We're going to preview all the teams now until training camps start in late July. So right now we're going to start with the AFC East. The last time you were on, we promised we would do the AFC East because we never got to the Dolphins. So let's start with the Bills, and then we'll get to Miami in a minute.
If you want to talk about the biggest lock to win their division, it's got to be the Bills. Okay, that they're minus 275 to win the AFC East. To me, I would have it minus 400. They're just it's so obvious that to make the playoffs are minus 700. To win 11.5 games, the over, Scott, is minus 155, which tells you that everyone thinks they're going to get 12, 13, 14 wins. Bad division other than the Bills. So that's to me is a lock. And I like how aggressive they were in free agency because, they got to go for it. They just have not been able to get to the Super Bowl. And they reloaded receiver Josh Palmer, really good receiver, very underrated, formerly of the Chargers. Elijah Moore, kind of an underrated signing, could play the slot. Joey Bosa comes over from the Chargers. Let's see what he has left. He probably has 2 years left in him. And Michael Hoyt, very underrated pass rusher, coming over from the Rams. Now he's got that 6-game suspension. As does Larry Ogunjobi. You remember him from the Steelers. They're trying to beef up their run stopping. TJ Sanders, a second-round defensive tackle from South Carolina. They're addressing their lack of size and depth at defensive tackle. And we know they had a problem at corner last season. Maxwell Hester in the first-round pick out of Kentucky. He'll start. And what did they really lose? Russell Douglas, a journeyman corner, Mari Cooper, and Matt Collins. This team is going to be better, Scott, than last season. They're going to make a big run through the AFC again.
What was the deal with getting two guys that got busted for juicing?
Yeah, it was really odd because they were announced on the same day by the NFL. And look, the bottom line is both are expected to play significant snaps. In fact, Michael Hoyt, one of the most underrated edge rushers for this year's free agency class of any team. This guy has been a great story of development. Unheralded, I think he went to Brown University, if I'm not mistaken. He's been a great story of development. And let's face it, Von Miller didn't quite work out. The big issue for this club is a consistent pass rush. You had Bosa and Hoyt, and now we're talking.
All right, let's go to the Patriots. A lot of people have lofty expectations for Vrabel in Foxborough.
You nailed it, Scott. I would say this is the Jim Harbaugh situation of last year. The Chargers came out of nowhere to make the playoffs. Yours truly didn't think they'd go over 8.5 wins. I was wrong. Well, guess what? The over now, depending on which book you look at it, is minus 115. So somehow they're expected to have a winning record depending on what book you look at, and the under is minus 105 to win the AFC. To win the AFC East, Scott, it's actually moved up from plus 550 to plus 500. Look, they're not going to win it. The Bills are going to win it. To make the playoffs, they're plus 150. Because the problem is, look, being 9-8 is not going to get you in there. But the fact, Scott, that the money now, small money, the money now is on the Patriots to have a winning record. In Mike Vrabel's first year, think about it, Scott. Since Belichick left, they've been terrible. All of a sudden, they're going to be a playoff team. That is too rich for me, but I'll say this much about it. Drake May is way better than people think. I know they felt that Drake May was way ahead of schedule last year. He was way better than people thought. I know you and I talked about leading up to the draft. You worry about the accuracy and the processing. He's a pretty good athlete with a giant arm. He's ahead of schedule. And, Scott, I like how they've helped him. Travion Henderson, maybe the most explosive back for this past draft. He can pass protect. See how Stephon Diggs comes back from the ACL. Remember this name, Kyle Williams, a third-round receiver out of Washington State. They absolutely love him, who should compete early on for a role.
So Diggs is going to get away with his boat annex?
Yeah, he's staying. I mean, if they were going to do something, it would have happened already. And don't forget, Will Campbell. Yes, he's got short arms. He's going to be their left tackle. Morgan Moses comes over from the Jets. He'll be the right tackle. Milt Williams, a huge free agent, signing $28 million a season coming over from Philly. Harold Landry is added as to their edge rush group, which they need. He and Vrabel work together with the Titans. Robert Spillane, you remember Robert Spillane, formerly the Steelers?
Yeah.
Very earned inside backer. Carlton Davis comes over from Detroit. They've reloaded, Scott. This team is much more talented than the team from last season under Gerard Mayo. So, look, they're not winning a division. No, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be way better and more competitive this season.
So, what about the Dolphins? We never hit them, and here they are. And I really don't like, anything they've done, which is very little to begin with.
Very quiet off season. They're trying to move Ramsey. We know that. Calais Campbell, he signed with the Cardinals. Javon Holland, the great safety, signed with the Jets. I mean, they had Kenneth Grant as a D tackle. They needed depth on the defensive line. Nick Westbrook at Keeney is more of a third receiver than a starter. Very quiet offseason. Disappointing season last year. By the way, this tells you where everybody's at with it. The over 8.5 wins is plus 155. The under, everybody thinks they're going to be a sub 500 team. Under is minus 185, Scott. So nobody thinks they're going to make playoffs, including yours truly.
What about the Jets in New York?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, as usual, as summer starts in New York, talking about the Jets and Giants being good, and then they never are.
Yeah, actually, their over-under total is 4.5, depending on which book you look at. And, Scott, let's face it. Yes, you bring Justin Fields in. People are excited. Jason Taylor's son, a second-round tight end out of LSU. Membu will be the right tackle. Andre Sisco as a safety comes over from the Jaguars. Now, they lost Rodgers, obviously, Devontae Adams, Tyler Conklin, Kinlaw, who had a good season to D-tackle. He goes over to the Commanders. Hassan Reddick, who never really worked out. And DJ Reed, a great story of development. He moved on to the Lions. So this team's totally in transition. New front office, new coaching staff. They'll be lucky to get 5 wins. Tough schedule. But you know what? Justin Fields, he gets reunited with Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver. Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields, they were together at Ohio State. Wilson's a terrific pass catcher. They're looking to extend his contract. The Jets are. But they're in a rebuild here. And Justin Fields, by structure, by the way, Scott, on his contract, it's not like they could get out of it after 2 years. There's a lot of guaranteed money, $30 million fully guaranteed at signing. He's going to be their starting quarterback for at least 2 seasons.
So Aaron Glenn's been talking tough in New York, like he's some kind of badass. How long do you think that'll last with the New York media?
All right, I'll say this. On your point, Scott, from what I've heard behind the scenes is he's brought in a different culture. They've moved on from a lot of people in the organization they gave buyouts to. This had nothing to do with money. They want new culture. They want to kind of rebuild the building. And Aaron Glenn, who's been there, as you know, he played there. He knows the building. He knows Woody Johnson. They're in a new beginning, but folks, Jets fans, be patient. They're a long ways away from being a winning football team.
We're going to hit the AFC North when we come back with Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Man, SportsGrid should have a camera out at Adam's place, because tomorrow Adam, with no shirt on, will be with a chainsaw cutting trees by himself to save money. He refuses to hire the tree company because they rip people off. So Adam told his wife to simmer down, make some tea. I'll be in the backyard showing off my guns with the chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Philadelphia starting tomorrow at Kaplan's. Everyone should drive over and watch. I wish SportsGrid had a crew out there so we could film it, but we just don't have the time. Let's talk about the AFC North. We'll start with the Ravens, everyone's darlings, including yours.
And by the way, it's a little bit tighter between them and the Bengals, and we'll get to the Bengals in a second. So the over-under is 11.5 wins. The over is minus 118. The under is minus 102. To win the division, they're minus 145. Scott, they're not the lock that the Bills are, but they're the clear favorite. It's obvious they should win that division. I love the addition that just happened. You and I have not been on this, of Jair Alexander this week, because what this will be able to do here, you put Alexander on the outside in nickel. When clubs come in with 11 personnel, you could stick Marlon Humphrey, who's terrific, as their nickel defender. So they bring in Chidobe Awuzie, a quality backup corner veteran from the Titans and the Chiefs. And the Bengals. And Malachi Starks is their first-round safety, who I like. So, Scott, they've reloaded. Cooper Rush will be the backup quarterback, by the way. DeAndre Hopkins will be a backup in the twilight of his career. But they are clearly, Scott, the team. There's no question about it. They're the clear favorite. They're going to do it again. The question is for the Bengals, Scott, can they narrow the gap in the AFC North?
How about the fans still giving Andrews the business, and Lamar Jackson is sick and tired of it?
Well, here's the thing, though, Scott. When you look at their tight end situation, Mark Andrews, by the way, on the final year of his contract, Isaiah Likely is a future number 80 at tight end out of Coastal Carolina. He's phenomenal. One of the best backup tight ends in the National Football League. Great athlete. He's on the final year of his deal. They'll look to extend his contract. Really good football player. He's the future. Mark Andrews, by the way, is 29 years old. Been a great story of development. There's no question about it. And don't forget, they're a heavy 12 personnel team. They need 2 good tight ends. And any thought of trading Mark Andrews would have happened in the draft. I know even Eric DeCosta talked about that. Never say never, but it didn't happen. I would expect Mark Andrews to be here going forward.
So, how about the Bengals? Because I know they got Chase and they got T. Higgins under wraps. Everybody's excited. The trade deal still hasn't happened, but there are people that think, including you, that this is the second place team in this division. Their total's 9.5. My problem is I think they're those players, Joey, Silk, and those two receivers are great. And I think Trey's great, but he doesn't have a deal. I think the rest of the team stinks.
The problem is not their offense, Scott, where they've loaded up. A lot of people in the league were surprised that they brought back Higgins. It's nothing to do with how talented he is. It's like, are you going to continually put your money on offense and not defense? You mentioned the Trey Henderson situation, which is going to get resolved at some point in August, most likely, one way or the other. They want to extend his contract, by the way, but they're still not there yet. But the problem is, you saw last year, Scott, at times, the Bengals defense was not competitive. And that, to me, Scott, is just the problem. They've not developed enough resources on defense, and that's the problem. Miles Murphy, a former first-round pick, has not worked out. And Sam Hubbard, one of the starting defensive ends, he retired. They're a train wreck on defense, Scott. They changed coordinators. Al Golden, the former Miami head coach and Temple head coach, he's a pretty good defensive coach. He's worked in the league before. He's their defensive coordinator.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to be somewhere, Scott, around 9 or 10 wins, but they are not even close to being a Super Bowl team. They're ways away from that.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think they have too many leaks defensively, and if they don't get this deal done with this guy, which has gone on forever, it's only going to get worse. Without him, it's going to be worse, and there's no way they're going over that number just because they have two good receivers. The rest of the team is awful. Their defense is awful. What about the Steelers now with Aaron Rodgers on board?
This is a fun one, Scott. You knew it's going to be at 8.5 because a lot of people, Scott, you and I have talked about this, and we'll update it. The over-under total now is plus 100 to go over 8.5. So the money is still, Scott. The money is still. I know because he doesn't have losing records. We know that the under is minus 120 to win that division. They're plus 550. Rodgers, Caleb Johnson. You and I have talked about him. He's going to wind up being their lead back. Kenny Gainwell. By the way, Kenny Gainwell comes over from Philly. He's a phenomenal pass protector. Look for him on third down. He's really good. This guy can catch the football and he can protect. DK Metcalf, obviously in the trade. Pickens is gone. Darius Slay will be a starting corner in the twilight of his career. He comes over from Philly. So, Scott, I'm somewhere around 8 or 9. I just don't see it. If I had to go anywhere, as I've told you before, I'm going under, and I'm with the people. That's where the money is. The under is minus 120.
So 8 or 9. So I'll take the 9 or 10 and go over at even money, and we'll see how it goes. In the last 25 years, Pats, Steelers, the top two records in the NFL in the regular season. That's all there is to it. Real quick, the Browns, they stink, right?
Oh. The over-under is 4.5 wins. The over is minus 175. The under is plus 145 to win the division. That. Yeah, to win the division, they're plus 3,000. So look, to make the playoffs, they're plus 700. Good luck. Good luck to them. They're in a rebuild here. They got to figure out the quarterback position. There's a saying in the National Football League: when you have too many quarterbacks, you don't have one. The 4.5, which seems a little juicy, I can't even do it because the quarterback position is just ridiculous. We'll see what happens with Shador. And then, obviously, Flacco, who put the team on his back 2 years ago, is now 40 years old, Scott. I've been covering him since 2007 at Delaware. Crazy.
Do you think they care that Shador Sanders has been popped twice for speeding and going 100 already? Twice.
I mean, it's not good. Look, he said all the right things publicly, but you have this situation, shows a level of immaturity. They think they got a steal in the 5th round, but he's got a long way to go. But he's just got to show up for training camp and be on time and do all the right things. That job, by the way, I'm telling you, a quarterback is wide open. Kenny Pickett's actually got a chance to win it, which sounds crazy, but he does.
Hands.
He does. He's got a chance to win it.
All right, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre himself, Adam Kaplan, ladies and gentlemen.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. He confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves leftovers, particularly on a pain-free Friday.
Especially ones that involved hockey. Because everybody loves hockey. I wanted to give you an update because it's been like 2 days, but the Florida Panthers, Scotty, they haven't slept since winning the Stanley Cup on Tuesday. I mean, look at this. I mean, they are still rolling here. I mean, this is unbelievable. That's Marchand. at the top of the pile there with the cup. And I mean, look, I'm sure that these teams partied in the past. Like, I know that these teams, for years and years and years, have always partied. But in today's day and age now, where you've got everyone whipping their phones out and taking, it's like the Capitals a few years ago. Remember when they were jumping in the fountains over there in D.C. and they were doing all that? I mean, you get to see a lot of these guys taking the cup everywhere and celebrating. Marchand was even at a Dairy Queen serving out Brad's Blizzards today. Little chocolate chip cookie dough at the Dairy Queen for
man, he has really set the bar for this team's partying. He is the new king of he was at the Elbow Room in Lauderdale. That was a place I used to go in college on spring break and do bad things.
Well, they were tearing that place up the morning after they won. I mean, they ripped that place to shreds.
The Elbow Room rocks.
On the other side of the coin, not a happy offseason for the Edmonton Oilers, and it's probably going to be even more difficult as you get towards the end of this clip. Of course, Connor McDavid, talking about his future, tries to bore you for about 35 seconds, but then really hits home what everyone Edmonton Oiler fans should pay attention to.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. This core has been together for a long time, and we've been building to this moment, all along. The work that's gone on behind the scenes, the conversations, the endless, disappointments, and some good times along the way, obviously as well. We're all in this together, trying to get it over that finish line. With that being said, ultimately, still need to do what's best for me and my family, and that's who you have to take care of first. But of course, there's unfinished business here.
Yeah, he needs to go to the LA Kings.
Get out of town. Get out of jail free card coming next summer for Connor McDavid. Can go wherever he wants. Dallas trades Mason Marchment to Seattle for a 4th rounder this year and a 3rd rounder next year. Jonathan Toews is back in the NHL. He signs with the Winnipeg Jets. Going to give it another roll. Jonathan Toews, of course, 3-time
he's
Cup
been out
winner.
of hockey forever.
He has. The United States soccer team beat Saudi Arabia 1-0 at the Gold Cup last night. I believe they play again on Sunday. Kevin Durant, investing in PSG as part owner, will consult on their plans to expand to basketball in Europe. How about that? KD very busy. The College World Series Championship starts tomorrow. LSU versus Coastal Carolina. Game number 1. I told you the other day that the Chanticleers are dogs in the series. Well, they're dogs in game 1. Plus 130 LSU, minus 160.
Give me Coastal in the whole thing.
Sweep. Shedeur Sanders, as you mentioned with Adam, cited twice this month for speeding. And Vlade Divac
your boy
breaks
Vlade.
his hip in a motorcycle accident. Hope Vlade's doing okay.
34C likes riding hogs. She's always on a motorcycle. Ooh. And the bottom line is, I don't ride motorcycles. I don't want to break my hip like your boy Vlade. Everybody loves Vlade, though. All right, Ferrall finish. Fat Joe accused of having sex, allegedly, with underage girls in a new lawsuit. Of course, he denies all of the claims. If you read the story about this guy, Fat Joe, it is creepy. I mean to tell you. Florida Attorney General offers up Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades to hold immigrants. If they were to convert this building into a prison, if they tried to escape, they will be eaten by alligators. That is better than Alcatraz and sharks. New York City Dwayne Reed security guard stabbed while trying to stop a shoplifter from stealing a soda. Person steals a soda and starts pulling out a switchblade to cut up the security guard. Front Office Sports Today is next on GTD, then In Game Live, then Sports Rage. Carver and Lisi at 8 on SportsGrid Radio. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Game 7 Sunday night. Get my app, search Ferrall. We'll see you Monday on Coast to Coast.
On June 5th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things that both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.